Do wrist wraps actually make your bench press stronger? I've been using wrist wraps for years. Like, I've gone through wrist wraps because they get stinky and I got to buy new ones. And I've always been curious, like, how much advantage is a wrist wrap actually giving me? In this study, they actually tested, do wrist wraps actually even work? Does it provide more power? Does it provide more strength, more endurance? Yeah, the bench press. And this is tested in men and women. I'll give you a second. What do you think the results were? So it's a very small sample size. They only tested 18 trained resistance lifters, both men and women. But the cool application of this was that they tested 3 different wrist straps. They tested flexible wrist straps, stiff wrist straps, and no wrist straps at all. And the outcome was nobody won. They did the 1 rep max strength test. They did the power output. They even tested bar velocity. And wearing wrist wraps was the exact same as not wearing the wrist wraps, and even with the flexible wrist wraps. So overall, having wrist wraps did absolutely nothing for the bench press. But the weird part was the lifters felt more stable with wrist wraps, even though their lifts did not improve at all. So wrist wraps only in the bench press is pretty much all in your head. So if the wrist wraps make you feel like you are pushing more weight or you're succeeding in the bench press, you should definitely keep them in. There's no reason to take them out. If it makes you feel a certain way, always keep it in if it's a really good feeling. But don't go buy brand new wrist wraps, spend $60 on some gangster wraps, and then magically feel like your bench press is going to improve. I wish they would have tested this in a dumbbell press. I would think that wrist wraps would have an advantage in a dumbbell press in comparison to a barbell press, because a dumbbell press, there is a lot more sway in the weight, if you will, on your wrist. I feel like that would be more applicable for wrist wrap utilization. But do you use wrist wraps? Do you feel like it makes you push heavier, have a better bench press? Let me know.